Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. I'm quoting the Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond. In London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Africa, you know we love the Big C tribe. We love them in Canada, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful August 24th, 2018 on Big C Sports. Big C will be calling in shortly. I think he's still doing some fishing in the land down under. I think there were some good old boys that sing, I come from the land down under. Okay, they sing it better, a lot better than I sing it, but they did sing it back in the day. A lot of good things happening in the sports universe on a beautiful Friday night. I know a lot of people are wondering who's playing. Not only is high school football happening all over this great country, I just love the fact that we have some NFL football getting ready for kickoff, college football getting ready for kickoff. Everybody's loving this time of year. And then we have WNBA basketball. That's also underway. So you can't say enough about what makes you happy in the world of the sports universe. I think so many times we start out thinking, what makes us happy? Well, I tell you what, high school football makes us happy. I do want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So what I want to start out with tonight is just saying, for all the people that love sports, and you're going to go back to the days that made you happy. Oftentimes on a Friday night, you think about high school football. I know I did, and I think there's so many kids out in Northern California and all over the place that are looking forward to the local high school football kickoff as NFL football is kicking off too. But I also want to say to everybody that loves the game, it all starts like Friday Night Lights is here already. And I'm not just talking about the good old boys in Texas where they have Friday Night Lights, the football game, but all over this country. There are a lot of kickoffs that are doing touchdowns against cancer. That's right. High school football's doing kickoffs to raise money to help go to find a cure for cancer. That's admirable. How many people in high school have to even think about that? There's a lot of people that don't even have to worry about it. But for the kids that have fight against hunger, they're also thinking about how can they raise money to help combat hunger all over the United States of America. So I want to say my thoughts and prayers go out to anyone dealing with that challenge. But I also want to say to the top high school programs in the country that are also pressing enough to go out and deal with that, they're thinking about how can they raise money at the tailgate to help go toward curing cancer for a lot of people who are dealing with that. And that's why young people are so important. We got to find a way to put our heart and our money behind young people. Big C Sports is also coming out with the sports app. We use that app to help fundraise all over the country for colleges, for high schools, and even for the people who want to have their own sports program. Imagine going on the Big C Sports app, and we'll launch that for kickoff, but you can have that app, and it's free. That I didn't say there's a fee, like some commercial is free. I thought you said free, no fee. No, ours is FREE free. You can have your own app. We'll have it loaded with athletes. They can have their own sports center in a sense. You can upload your video about 3 minutes in duration if you want to go that far, or sometimes just a minute. You can do your own sideline reporting. You can update it every single day. If you're an athlete, you can talk about your stats in your school and what league you're in, if you're playing for a state championship or a league championship, or you can just do it for your own occasion. That's going to be brought to you by help of Big C Sports. We'll be launching that for kickoff of the football season September, first part of September. Also, I would say congratulations to all of our great high school programs out there in this great country, in the land of the free, and the home of the brave. We started out last week, the biggest game in Northern California saw De La Salle High School ranked #1 in Northern California, #3 overall in California, and they were playing Folsom High School, which was ranked #2 in Northern California, and then #4 in all of California. Well, De La Salle extended their Northern California win streak to 291 games without a loss. That goes back to 1991, where they lost to Pittsburgh High School 35-21 at the Oakland Coliseum in what's called the North Coast section. So congratulations to De La Salle. They actually took on a Folsom team that has been the most dominant program in Northern California outside of De La Salle over the last maybe 7 to 8 years. And they actually had a 14-0 shutout. De La Salle blanking Folsom, a team that averaged 50 points a game last year and won a state championship at the state D1 AA. And so again, congratulations to De La Salle. They're at home tonight playing Central Catholic of Modesto. Actually, they're traveling to Central Catholic in Modesto, so that's Northern California. And I want to just take you all across the country as we'll get into Friday Night Lights for schools. Number one is St. John Bosco out of Bellflower. They are playing Garces Memorial High School out of Bakersfield, California, a school in the Central Valley. And so St. John Bosco, future, perhaps, national champions. I think they have on that team, and kid you not, there's about 20 D1 prospects on St. John Bosco's football program. So that's going to be a lot for Garces Memorial to overcome. Number two, Mater Dei Santa Ana, led by Bruce Rollinson. They're in most likely the game of the night. In fact, the game of the country on Friday Night Lights. We have number two, Mater Dei Santa Ana, California. They're 1-0, taking on Las Vegas. That game is in Las Vegas, and both teams are loaded with talent. Mater Dei was crowned national championships last year in all of the country. They had a 15-0 program, and they were very solid. The year before that, it was Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas that was national champion. And so these two great programs, they tend to meet year after year, and that says a lot about programs that are willing to challenge the best competition out there. Number three in the country is Allen, Texas, defending state champions down in Texas. That's the program. Believe it or not, their stadium is worth $60 million to build, Allen, Texas. That's a program that a lot of the high school programs have emulated over the years. Allen, Texas, ranked number three in the country for Friday Night Lights. And then we have Grayson out of Loganville, Georgia. They're the number 4 ranked program in the country. They're taking on Tucker out of Georgia. Number 5, St. John's out of Washington, D.C. for your Friday Night Lights. They're taking on Johns Creek out of Georgia. Number 6, IMG Academy out of Bradenton in Florida. They're playing Pine Richland out of Gibson, Pennsylvania. So a team from Florida playing a team from Pennsylvania. So Big C Sports even has it covered. On the high school scene, we have 3 more games before we bring on Big C. Number 7, St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland. They're idle, and they'll play St. Joseph Prep out of Philadelphia August 31st. Number 8, St. Thomas Aquinas out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, one of the more dominant programs in the state of Florida, and they will have their hands full tonight. As they're always taking on the great competition, they're playing DeMatha, Hyattville, Maryland. Imagine schools from Maryland having to go to Florida to play a football game. Number 9, Lake Travis, Austin, Texas. They're idle, but they will play their season opener against Martin from Arlington, Texas next week. And then number 10, I want to mention St. Louis of Honolulu, Hawaii. They were expected to play tonight, but they're having some flooding going on the islands as we bring Big C on. I know there's a lot of people in Hawaii that are really kind of dealing with it right now. I hope they can heed the warning and get to safety when you can. But that's why St. Louis of Honolulu, the number 10th ranked high school football program in the country, is not playing tonight. So Big C, as we send our thoughts out and all of our congratulations to the high school programs all over this great playing each other. Want to get your thoughts. Have you seen what's happening in the islands of Hawaii? There's a lot more going on, a lot more important than football. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, whenever Mother Nature rears her head, it's always more important than what's going on in the world of sports. And when you think about the islands, they've gone through a lot of devastation, just like the state of California. You had the situation with the volcanoes for several weeks over there, Charlton, that did massive destruction. And now you're at the eye of a hurricane that is something that can't be controlled in any kind of way. And, today they've had 3 feet of rainfall. Not picture, 3 feet of rainfall.
Wow.
So when you talk about heeding the warnings, I don't even know if you can heed a warning, Charlton, with 3 feet of rainfall. And when you think about living on the island, you don't have many places you can go.
No.
The big island is only 45 miles across.
Yep.
So going to the higher, land, Charlton, there's not a lot of that overall and really not a lot of shelter in those particular areas. But, you know, when we look at sports, sports is not even in the backseat. It's not even getting in the car when it comes to human concern and safety, Charlton. So,
Yeah.
you know, you always praise about the high school programs, but, you know, you have to think more about human life when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I'm really proud of St. Louis Honolulu to cancel their games. Obviously, safety concerns. And that's a program Marcus Mariota actually played at St. Louis of Honolulu, Hawaii. I think also Tagliova, if I've said the name properly, for Alabama, played at that great prep high school.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah, Tagliova. He played there also. So they've turned in some great high school athletes, but I know their concerns are about their families, and we really hope that everybody's going to be as safe as possible on an island. Unlike evacuating Big C in California, where you can go inland or to a drier spot or a safer spot, you really can't go anywhere unless you go to the water or you find higher ground. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the higher ground is minimal. The water is what you're trying to avoid because that's what's coming in as well as going out, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the most catastrophic storm that they've had in over 25 years there in the islands, Charlton, and you hope all the best to all of those people, Charlton, that there'll be minimal destruction, you know, in this type of situation, Charlton, and hopefully no loss of life.
Yeah, well, we again, our thoughts and prayers are with them. So we did our Friday Night Lights, as we'll try to bring to you every Friday night, Big C Sports, not just covering your pro sports and collegiate sports. We want to take some time to pay homage to our high school athletes because that's where it all begins. Those are the stomping grounds. So for all you out there, good luck with your games tonight. But Big C, as we look to the big boys, I look at last year's defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and, you know, Nick Foles obviously had some people thinking, why do we need Carson Wentz? And if you think about the game last night, the players got to stay healthy. I know the NFL has this preseason where we had to play 4 and 5 games, and maybe it would make more sense if we just had 2 or 3 games, because at least when you're out there in the field, it counts for something. You can go undefeated in preseason. It doesn't do anything for you other than expose players to get injured. Big C, is a concern that Nick Foles hasn't produced any points this preseason after being the Super Bowl MVP last season?
Well, Charlton, I think the concerns are with the Eagles' offense in totality. When you look at it and you look at the players that have been on the fields for the Eagles' offense, it's not the team that went to the Super Bowl. You have not seen Ajayi, you have not seen Blunt in the backfield, Charlton. You haven't even seen Coleman.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the wide receivers out there, Aguilar as well as Jeffries. So this is a shell of an offense that went to the Super Bowl last year. You know, the quarterback is going to always get the blame. They're always going to get the blame when there's no productivity. And when you think of the 3 games that they've played, Nick Foles hasn't produced any points. Even though he's not the only one out there on offense, it comes down to the quarterback when they say, well, he's not producing any points.
Yeah.
But, you know, where are the receiving corps? Where are the running backs when you need that? And you got to understand, the Eagles lost their offensive coordinator.
That's right.
Frank Wright now is in Indianapolis trying to resurrect the career of Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
And so most often people don't realize how important coordinators are to a system. I think the only system that we've seen that has consistently been able to lose coordinators has been the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
And just keep going, Charlton, because those players on that roster are not egotistical.
Yeah.
You know, they expect to perform. They expect to play at the highest level. You know, they won 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
We haven't seen these Super Bowl rants over the years, Charlton, these huge celebrations that go on for months, books, writing, all these other things. It's let's get back to work.
Yeah.
Because that game is over.
Yep.
And, you know, I can understand Philadelphia celebrating. They haven't won a championship since the 60s.
Yeah.
And, you know, wanting to just rave in it as a city and players. But I understand also what it takes to go to work every day, Charlton, as a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And the thing that you touched on, that these preseasons are too long.
Yep.
Well, when we talk about Nick Foles and other quarterbacks that haven't done anything in the preseason, well, when you go out and you only play 1 series, like Aaron Rodgers, and you're out of the game, or 2 series and you're out of the game, you're not going to get any rhythm behind that. football today is not like it was when I started playing professional ball, Charlton, where we didn't have $1 million players.
Yeah.
They didn't exist. Most players had something to do in the off season other than work out. Now football is a 24-hour-a-day business.
Yep.
Where you hire personal trainers, nutritionists. You come into training camp in peak condition all the time, ready to compete.
Yep.
So the traditional training camp that existed 40 years ago, Charlton, is no longer needed in professional football. It's not. The 2-game stretch that you talked about, go out. You know, if you're going to look at some players, play your veterans, a quarter in the first game, 2 quarters in the second game. Make your evaluation from that. Because even the NFL, Charlton, made adjustments. When they went from weekly cut downs to 2 cut downs all preseason long.
Well, let me ask your thoughts, Big C. When you just mentioned that, you just talked about players that are being cut. Now, why does it take 5 weeks to decide who you're going to cut when you spend a lot of time in the offseason deciding who you're going to bring in? If you're bringing them in, don't you already know if they are what you want or not? Why does it take 4 and 5 weeks of watching them? You've already seen them play. Why do they even need to use that extra time evaluation? You would think they would do that in the offseason, Big C, not when they bring them into camp for preseason. Your thoughts?
Well, you have to understand, Charlton, preseason was set up on the premises of making owners revenue that they didn't have to share. So you had these 4 games that were initially set up, and that revenue that you made, that was not accounted towards the season's revenue. That was just money you made there during the off, basically your off-season job as an owner.
That's house money.
You got free money. You didn't have to share it with the players. It didn't go into the overall coffer.
Really?
So during the preseason, you get a check as a player. You're paid on a weekly basis. And it's based on your seniority in the league. That's how much you'll make. And you're going to get that regardless, just being there. But during the season, the scale is much different. You know, when you look at a quarterback like your buddy Cousins in Minnesota, who's getting $28 million or whatever.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
But in training camp, he gets paid the same amount of a player, Charlton, who has the same seniority in the league that he does, 6 years. He gets the same as any 6-year veteran in the league. There's no pay disparity.
Wow.
So that's the difference of what the owners look at. And when you look at these stadiums during the preseason, I mean, you're lucky. It looks like a baseball game half the time because maybe it's half full. And people have a lot of things to do, and they know the season is long, and the tickets are at a premium. But I think that adjustment needs to be made. The NFL is starting to look at all these other rule changes around, and that real change that they need to look at is count the number of players that have been injured in the preseason.
Too many,
Now,
Big
that's
C.
going to go against your salary cap, Charlton, because that player has to go on IR. And so you have to pay him his entire salary. So when you think about you can't hit in training camp, your OTAs have been cut back. The only thing that hasn't been cut back
price of tickets
is the preseason games. Because the owners keep 100% of that revenue and don't share with the Players Association.
I was talking to a friend of mine that lives in Chicago, loves the Chicago Bears, and we were talking about that. He was looking for tickets just to go see a Bears preseason game, and he was saying, you know what, Charlton, the tickets for preseason, they're the same as regular season. In fact, the only time they go up is if the Bears make the playoffs, so they probably won't be going up anytime soon with the Trubisky, quarterback at Big C. But that's egregious, and I just learned that's all house money that you talked about tonight. So even when you think about that, I want to get your thoughts. Last night, I mean, did I miss the baseball game? I was Cleveland playing Philadelphia. I said 5-0. I thought I would drink maybe too much Kool-Aid, Big Z. But when I saw a 5-0 score on my DVR, I realized, no, that was football. Now with the 5-0 score, where are all the people that are saying, well, we got to start Baker Mayfield? In fact, he got hurt by his own player, Big C. I would just love to see the guy sit the bench for 6 games and let him compete after sitting the bench for 6 games. Don't take Tyrod Taylor and make him look over his shoulder any more than he has to. I know competition's good, but you really are going to take a guy who's not even used to being hit the way he got hit last night. You got guys that get hurt in preseason, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't think Tyrod Taylor will be looking over his shoulder unless it's a pass rush. He doesn't have to worry about Baker Mayfield as competition. Baker Mayfield had his opportunity last night when Tyrod Taylor left the game in the first quarter with a dislocated pinky finger on his left non-throwing hand.
Yeah.
But he came in and he couldn't produce, Charlton. You know, you had the perfect opportunity. He said, okay, this is yours. Run with it.
Yeah.
Show us what you can do. And he showed that he was not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
You know, the game of NFL football, professional football, Charlton, is a different horse. And, you know, every analyst, every sports writer, every broadcaster, you know, on all these talk shows,
Yep.
who are these experts. And I never saw any of them in training camp. I never saw any of them across the line when I was playing.
Yeah.
But they're all experts. And they all have insight on what's best for organization.
Yeah.
You know, it's that story, you know, and I'll always think about my mother and this when she used to always say, you know, a lie will travel 100 miles before the truth ever gets started.
Yep.
And that's what so many of these broadcasters and writers and everybody are doing nowadays is that they're lying to the public
Yeah.
to try to make them think that they're experts.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll believe my lie more than you believe the other lie,
Yeah.
is they're saying.
Yeah.
But because this guy was the #1 overall draft pick,
Yeah.
is that he was ready. It's just, you know, Dorsey, the GM, was in love with him.
Yep.
And that's what happens a lot of times, Charlton. They fall in love with an individual, and they say, okay, we got to draft this guy.
Yeah.
You got to go back and look at how many #1 overall draft picks the Cleveland Browns have had, Charlton, since they've come back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Since the original team left and went to the Baltimore and became the Ravens.
Yeah.
You know, Baker Mayfield was not the first quarterback that they drafted #1 overall.
That's right.
Tim Couch was the first quarterback that they took #1 overall out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know, his career lasted as long as a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And he was a great thrower when he was in college,
Yeah.
playing for Hal Mumme.
Yep.
But, you know, the Cleveland Browns have started 23, 24 different quarterback shops. So when they say it's not all Hugh Jackson, this is management that has not been able to make the proper decision on who to play.
Yeah.
You know, they drafted Courtney Brown some years ago out of Penn State when LeVar Arrington was there at Penn State. They should have took LeVar Arrington.
Yeah.
Courtney Brown, you know, I think his career total of sacks, you could count them on both hands.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he was the #1 overall draft pick.
Yeah.
Just like Myles Garrett, the draft pick that they have now
Yep.
at defensive end. So when you say that, you know, certain guys deserve more than others, just look at the Browns' draft history. There's something in the water in Lake Erie that's not lending to success.
Yeah.
You know, so
Don't start rumors, Big Z.
you know, everybody talks about the water in Flint, but maybe they need to test the water there in Lake Erie.
Yeah, I think they can really look at a lot of that muddy water. But I think about when you just said something that brought to my mind when people, and again, we want everybody to succeed. The more successful somebody is, we want to succeed. We want every athlete to succeed. But also, in just watching this over the years, all we do is say Google it. You ever remember being back in school and you did your best on your homework and you turn in your homework on time, and then it's time to take a test. One of the most fearful moments is when the teacher would have you stand up in class and ask you a question in front of your classmates, and you're put on the spot because everybody can see what you're saying. That's the same thing happens when you say Google it. So for all of the pundits out there, no matter what network, the ones that were pushing so hard for Baker Mayfield to come out of Oklahoma, where they could not hold the lead over Georgia in the Rose Bowl last year, they want this guy to walk into the NFL and win a game for a franchise that hasn't won a game all last season, and they want him to be the guy. Where are these guys now? The guys getting hurt in preseason. You're going to get hit every time in the league. In preseason, you're not even going up against the A team, against the #1 defense. And of course, anyone could get hurt. But if you can tell me the people that were saying they got to start him and they should trade Tyrod Taylor, Google who they are, because you got to know they're not going to say that they made this mistake saying that when they see his performance. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they hide behind the position that they possess. Instead of standing there in the forefront saying, hey, you know,
I was wrong.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
And that's the honesty that, you know, people should use in this industry that we're in. Just say that you're guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us are experts.
Right.
We all have speculation. But some of us have a little more insight than the others. And we're not sitting here because, okay, we got to do this because we're a media partner. We got to sell this guy.
Right.
I mean, that's the worst thing is lying to a consumer about a product.
Yep.
You know, to say, hey, this stuff tastes great. So wait till you get home after you purchase it, okay? Buy it first, then go home before you open it up. They don't want you spitting it out in the store.
Yep.
You know, and so that's what we get a lot of time when we get these ideas and thoughts on athletes.
Yeah.
Is that he can't miss project or prospect, however they want to say. Every athlete that's drafted into the NFL is a project.
Yep.
Everyone. There are more people drafted outside the first round that are successful in the NFL than they are drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah.
Google it. It's there.
Yeah.
You know, there are as many all-pros that were free agents as there are that were number one draft picks.
That's a good point.
So when you say that you got to draft this guy in the first round, and people have just gotten so mystified with that.
Yeah.
They're saying, you know, well, we heard the media. But there's leakage from organizations saying that guys are certain guys.
Yeah.
If you recall last year before the kickoff of college football,
Yeah.
who was the Heisman favorite, Charles? Sam Darnold.
Out of USC.
After that Rose Bowl game he had against Penn State,
Yeah.
he was even money to win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Nobody else was going to compete with him. You know, ironically, 23 turnovers later,
Yeah.
he didn't even get invited to New York.
No.
You know, so when these experts, and none of these guys are walking around saying, hey, I chose Sam Darnold. I chose Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
These are the same guys who said they didn't choose Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. All of a sudden, he's the runaway winner with it.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold was the runaway winner.
Yeah.
He goes third in the draft. Everybody's criticizing because he went third in the draft.
Yep.
He didn't go to the best position going to the Jets because they have a quarterback on the roster better than him.
Yeah.
I think they'll make a mistake, though, by playing him. He's going to start tonight in the preseason game, and I hope all the best for him.
Yes.
But he's not NFL ready, Charles.
You know,
unfortunately, you know, he's drafted. He has a great contract.
Yes.
But playtime ready, he's not there yet, Charles.
You know, Big C, in dealing with the airline pilots, they have to undergo a lot of flight time before they can actually put passengers on that jumbo jet. A lot of people fly all over the country. Is that a pun, jumbo jet? But when the Jets want to take a guy who hasn't been like a pilot has to be tested. They got to fly a lot and see different scenarios. You learn that from the bench. You don't learn that being under fire and get hurt. And then you say, well, the guy that we should have started, maybe he's a little bit sullen right now. We're going to put him in. But he doesn't have confidence, so he may not play that great either. The best thing you could do with an airline pilot is you get them in the simulator class. That simulation class lets them see a lot of things before they start flying that jet. And before you put them on a jet that has 300 people and flying across the country, you want to give them time to learn it. You can learn that from the bench. I hope that they will take the time with Darnold because he can be a talent, but he would have done better being at USC one more year. Big C, how should the Falcons feel? Matt Ryan, your cousin, okay, both you guys like chicken. Matt Ryan, the second lowest touchdown total since his rookie year, came out of Boston College, and his third lowest touchdown totals of his career, but now he's the highest paid player in the league. So let me get this right. I'm going to stand up in front of class as my teacher says, Charlton, I want you to explain how the guy is having his lowest touchdown total and second lowest touchdown total is going to make more money than anybody. How does that make sense? Should there be a concern of Ryan, or is it what's happened to a lot of players? Once they break the bank, Big C, they lose a little bit of motivation. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this was before he even broke the bank. You think about it. Matt Ryan had 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
He had the second lowest touchdown total of his career since his rookie year. And they said, well, you know, he's an elite quarterback. But he's not even a top-tier quarterback. So you think about that, the second lowest total since your rookie year.
Yeah.
And then also the third lowest yardage total of a season that you've had. But all of that says that you should become the highest-paid player in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, if you take Matt Ryan's season, what he did last year, second lowest touchdown total.
Yeah.
compared to Russell Wilson in Seattle. Russell Wilson accounted for 34 of the 35 touchdowns that Seattle scored last year.
Wow.
The highest percentage in NFL history.
Wow.
Not of a season or a career, the history of a league. And you're saying Matt Ryan was a much better quarterback in that situation?
Wow.
And it showed that when Julio Jones was hurt, what type of quarterback he was.
Yeah.
You know, you could not blame Julio Jones for him not being able to get the ball to him.
No.
When Freeman went down with concussions,
yep,
he struggled also.
Yeah.
So it lets you know when they talk about Aaron Rodgers now, you know, setting the bar for quarterbacks, and people are trying to say that, well, Aaron Rodgers should take less, like Tom Brady, and let them put the money in the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is sitting there. Do I look stupid? You pay Matt Ryan,
yeah,
make him the highest paid player in the league,
yeah,
for a lackluster season. You take Charlton's cousin in Minnesota, the week before that, made him the highest paid player in history, and he hasn't made the playoffs.
Bixie.
And at least I won a Super Bowl and made the playoffs consistently.
Yeah, you're gonna have. I bought that Ancestry.com, and they have you swab something inside your cheekbone, and you're gonna send it back to some lab. Some oligarchy is gonna do a DNA search and see if you're related to somebody where you come from. Listen, as an African American, I don't want the government having any samples on me so they can say, we found your DNA. Okay, it may come from Ancestry.com, but I wasn't there. No, we got your DNA. I'm telling you, be careful when you're giving your swap to somebody. You don't even know who they are. But no, we're not cousins, Big C. I guess we're all from the same tribe, though. But I'm really interested in this thing that you just mentioned on Russell Wilson. You just spit out a stat that he has accounted for more touchdowns as a player than any player in the history, and that's not all over the news every single day of the week. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's an amazing stat. You know, when you think about how they rain down these accolades, especially on these four quarterbacks that were drafted, you know, in the first 11 picks of the first round.
Yeah.
When you think about how much they praise those guys. And then the quarterbacks that were signed during the offseason, given these huge contracts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Alex Smith was the next closest quarterback to Russell Wilson last season. When you look at him statistically, he was 28-4 touchdown-interception ratio.
Wow.
Alex Smith, behind Russell Wilson, as far as, you know, proficiency in the league.
Yes.
And you know, Alex Smith got traded. Russell Wilson doesn't get talked about. Matt Ryan became the highest paid player in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo became one of the top 5 paid players in the league. Your cousin is in the top 5 paid players in the league.
Yeah.
And these players that we're talking about, Charlton, didn't set the world on fire. We don't see them in the record books.
No, you don't.
We don't see them making their teams better.
Yes.
You know, here it is. The Eagles were in the not the Eagles, but the Falcons were in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
They couldn't hold on to a lead. But think about this. Think about how much people ride Jacksonville and Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
For losing to New England in New England where everybody does. You know,
yeah, whether you win or not, you still lose.
Don't make no difference. You show up. I think justice wears blue and gray up there.
When your cousin's the official.
You know, some calls are going to be made.
The tuck rule.
You know, pass interference.
Tuck rule.
You know, 35 yards down the field, the ball is out of bounds. You know, those calls get made.
Exactly.
So, if you look at the comparison last year in the playoffs between Matt Ryan and Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Now, Jacksonville gave Blake Bortles 3 years, $57 million, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at what he did in the playoffs. He went up to Pittsburgh and riddled that defense.
Yeah.
You know, and he basically did the same thing in New England because he didn't play defense. As I recall, he wasn't the one that got the pass interference call.
Nope.
You know, on defense.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one that Tom Brady threw the touchdowns against. So, but he did get blamed for the loss.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one that called the play at the end of the first half with 50 seconds to go on the clock. Take a knee. Let's not try to go for a field goal.
Yeah.
Let's take a knee.
Take a knee.
So
who does that?
You compare the two quarterbacks last season,
Yeah.
Blake Bortles and Matt Ryan, in the playoffs. Which one of those quarterbacks is worth $155 million, and which one is worth $57 million?
That all sometimes, just like the teacher calling on people in class and putting you on the spot and asking you, "What's 1 + 1?" and you go, it's not that you don't know it's 2, but because you're nervous. Okay? Some quarterbacks play like they're nervous too, and that's just part of life. You live and learn, but when you get in the money, I guess they can do whatever they can, and the media will make up for it. What we want to do with Big C Sports, whether it's us or anybody else, we want to start the Google Society. In fact, I got to hit up Google for some of that sponsorship money, since everybody's saying Google it now, from the news networks to the sports guys that are here, especially in Northern California. But I want to get your thoughts too, because when you think about what you just said about Russell Wilson, that's incredible. You would think that'd be all over the place. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. Big C, the Battle of New York tonight. Preseason number 2 overall pick versus number 3 overall pick. You've said this many times. The Big Apple is the mecca of media. I mean, New York is gorgeous. They have so many people going back to the Polo Grounds, whether it's Shea Stadium or the new MetLife Stadium, whatever it is. New York does everything big. The new Yankee Stadium, it's all there. The media, everybody's in New York. But what's not in New York is rationality, where New York seems to want to take what they see in their mind as great. And I compare every player, every quarterback to what you just said about Russell Wilson. No one in the history's performed like that guy. But they make it seem like a guy out of college last year that led his conference in interceptions and turnovers. They want to make you think that he's Broadway Joe. Bixie, how does that happen? Your thoughts?
Well, you really don't want him to be Broadway Joe. You want him to be better than that. You have to understand.
Yeah.
People remember Joe Namath for one thing.
Yeah.
A Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl III.
Yes.
He never had a winning season after that in his NFL career. So when people think that Joe Namath was this great quarterback, no. After Super Bowl III, he wasn't even pedestrian, Joe.
Yeah.
You know, he shouldn't even been in the league. His name kept him in the league as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And he became easy to move out of New York after they realized they weren't going to win anymore.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold, I mean, you want, like you said, you want to see the success of every young player that comes into the league. But if I'm Todd Bowles and I'm thinking about keeping my job, and the media constantly saying, well, he's ready, he's ready, he's ready. He's played against some guys, Charlton, that are not going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
He also did that in college, played against some guys that weren't going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And didn't win all of his games either.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a scenario that he has looked at. If he starts the first game of the season and he goes out and the Jets get blown out of the water, who do you turn to? Do you say, okay, we're going to go to Bridgewater now?
Right.
Or we're going to keep him in the lineup and he's going to come out the second week and struggle again? That's the problem that possesses you.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Charlton, you have the Giants. I think Eli just threw another interception.
Your cousin threw an interception?
Well, all the pressure in New York is going to be put on the young rookie running back.
Yeah.
Out of Penn State.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley.
Everybody's going to say that Barkley, if he doesn't perform well, then that's the reason why Eli is struggling.
Yeah.
Even though Eli has struggled the last 4 or 5 years while Barkley was in high school and in college.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Odell Beckham. I mean, you think about the receiving corps of Ingram, Beckham, and the kid out of Oklahoma. I can't think of his name at the moment.
Yeah.
But, you know, that receiving corps is equal to any receiving corps. Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, Shepard.
Is equal to any receiving corps in the NFL. And so Eli doesn't have any excuses. The media of New York doesn't have any excuses.
Yeah.
For Eli any longer. They went in and brought in a solid left offensive tackle out of New England.
Yep.
When they brought in, so they put Fowler on the right side, so he's more comfortable over there. So the excuse that you have for Eli, if the Giants are not successful, and in my perception, They have the fourth best team in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Think about that. The Giants have the fourth best team in the NFC East because you have the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champ.
Yep.
You have the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott, who's won 22 games in the last 2 seasons, okay?
Impressive.
You have a huge upgrade in Washington when you brought in, Alex Smith, who had a 28-4 touchdown interception ratio last season.
That's incredible.
The Giants, when you look at that, yes, you brought in Barkley at running back. Odell is back at receiver.
Yeah.
But you still have the same slack-arm quarterback that you've had the last 2 seasons, who everybody has found an excuse for when he hasn't been able to get the job done.
Yeah, they have. He's a prodigal son, and that buys you a lot of opportunity when people forget about what you've done that didn't help them win, because when you start winning, that's what they focus on. But even with the Giants not winning, he's brought a lot of favor. But so let me ask you then, which quarterback is under the most pressure in the third week of the preseason to produce and take command of his team, even though it's preseason and you already know who's going to make the team? They don't really need to go out there and get banged up. They should already be in shape, like you said earlier. Football's a year-round business. You don't take 6 months off in this business anymore. So even having your starting guys out there doesn't do anything for them. I think football would do better if we look at how to make the game better. It's great to have a lot of opportunities for guys. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs to work. But you don't need to have 5 preseason games when you already know who you're going to keep. You're deciding who you're going to let go. But you can do that over 2 games. But what quarterback's under the most pressure third week of the preseason to produce, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, just from my perception, I'm looking at Derek Carr out in Oakland.
Really?
So when I look at a quarterback who's under an immense amount of pressure, this is a quarterback that had a huge fall off from 2 seasons ago. When the team made the playoffs, I believe they had 12 victories.
Yeah.
He had an all-pro season. And last year, he couldn't find his receivers consistently, Charlton.
Yeah.
I also got to look at Cousins with the huge contract that he had going to Minnesota. They have not looked good offensively here in the first couple of preseason games.
No.
They've had quite a struggle. Jimmy Garoppolo had 5 victories last year for the 49ers. But you got to look at the division that he's played in. He's playing against, he's going to be playing against Seattle. He's going to be playing against the Rams.
Yep.
Charlton, he's going to be playing against some tough competition within that division.
Yeah.
That's going to be a true test for him. So he's really under the gun to prove he's worth $135 million, Charlton. Another quarterback, I think, Matthew Stafford. When you think about him getting Caldwell fired.
Yep, that's a shame.
And never living up to this praise at one time, being the highest paid player in the NFL, Charlton. And I got to go back once again to Eli Manning. Tremendous amount of pressure on Eli Manning to prove that he still should be the starter with the Giants.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, New York is a tough city, but Eli's gotten a lot of favor because of those 2 Super Bowls that were won primarily by their defense. So when you think about Vince Lombardi, that's when you think about football. Vince Lombardi and football go together. So thought to be one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. 96 career victories, only two Super Bowl victories, Big Z. But Tom Flores also has 2 Super Bowls for the Oakland Raiders in a shorter period of time. And as a head coach, one is in the Hall of Fame, one is not in the Hall of Fame. One has 2 Super Bowl victories over a longer stretch of time. One has 2 Super Bowl victories in a shorter stretch of time. Why they both not in the Hall of Fame is almost egregious. I know there's not a paperback test in the NFL. Or is there? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I kind of tend that when you look at the biases, when you think about Lombardi, most people think about him as the godfather of the NFL.
Yeah.
The trophy's named after him and all because he won the 2 inaugural Super Bowls. I mean, you can't take away from his plight as a coach.
Oh, no.
But if you compare the record, he and Tom Flores, over the same length of time in a coaching career.
Yeah.
Tom Flores has 1 more victory than Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
Think about this. Vince Lombardi has 96 victories as an NFL head coach. Tom Flores has 97.
Wow.
Tom Flores has 2 Super Bowl victories as a head coach.
Yep.
Just like Vince Lombardi. They both use the same quarterback to get 2 Super Bowl victories.
Yeah.
Bart Starr, who is in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Jim Plunkett, who is not in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And if you compare the 2 quarterbacks, though, Jim Plunkett has 1,200 more career passing yards than what Bart Starr does.
Yeah, but that's the problem I have with you. You always care about the facts. Can't you just be emotional like other people and believe what we want to believe? Your thoughts?
Okay, let me get you a little more emotional about it, Joe. He has 13 more touchdown passes.
See, there you go again. Why you always care about the numbers, Big C? Can't you just go in line with what the media says, Big C?
All right, well, let's take that Heisman Trophy out of the equation. Okay?
Okay, you trumped me, no pun intended.
Let's take that out of the equation.
Yes.
All right, I'll get off of Jim Plunkett, having better career statistics than Bart Starr.
What's numbers got to do with it, Big C? You heard Tina Tinker sing that song.
Let's go back to Tom Flores and Vince Lombardi.
Yes.
Tom Flores is the only player in coach in NFL history, Chuck,
Yeah.
to have a Super Bowl ring as a player, an assistant coach, and a head coach. And I take that back. I lied about that. Mike Dick also has the same claim.
Yeah.
He has 1 Super Bowl ring as a player, 1 as an assistant coach, 1 as a head coach.
Yes.
Oh, Charlton, he's in the Hall of Fame also.
Yep.
He's in the Hall of Fame. But let me do one better. I said I lied on the last one. Okay.
You can be part of the Trump administration, Big C.
Tom Flores has a Super Bowl ring as a player.
Yes.
With the Kansas City Chiefs. He has a Super Bowl ring as an assistant coach with the Oakland Raiders in '76.
Yep.
And he has 2 Super Bowl rings as a head coach of the Raiders in '80 and '83. So he has 1 more ring than Mike Dixon.
Yeah.
He has 2 more rings than Vince Lombardi. Oh, and by the way, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Wow. Google it. As you say, Google it, Big C. Google it from the mountaintop. Tell it from the mountaintop. Yeah, I think that's egregious. So when players talk about what's right, what's justice, I just got to point the fact out, too. There's a lot of men of color that have outperformed those who are considered mainstream. Mainstream guy gets into the hall. Man of color said, "We'll pray for you. Keep waiting." So we know that happens, but we got to change that. Big C, I want to just run down a couple of thoughts, get your thoughts, as I love hearing the way you can go back in history and everything. We know the Jets and the Giants, playing tonight, and that game in New York, the battle for New York. But also you have the Broncos and the Redskins, and as we started the program tonight, the Broncos were actually up on the Redskins, at halftime and it's 17-3. But give me your thoughts. What direction do you see the Broncos going in and the Redskins? I still remember when Doug Williams had 5 touchdown passes in the first half for the Redskins over John Elway's Denver Broncos and never played another game. Your thoughts on those franchises?
Well, the thing with the Redskins, they got to find a way to keep their running backs healthy, Chelsea.
Yeah.
They lost their top 2 running backs in their first 2 preseason games. That doesn't bode well for you because you can't start bringing people off the street thinking that they're going to be. There's no knock against Adrian Peterson. He's had another career in the NFL, a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that Adrian Peterson was better than what you've already had because you signed him as an emergency case.
Yeah.
And we know, just like going into the hospital, when you have elective surgery versus emergency surgery, it works out a little better.
Yeah.
And so that's the
you say
they were in with him.
You say don't wait until you're bleeding before you go down to the hospital. Yeah. Is that what you say?
But, I like Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith will bring some stability to that offense.
Yeah.
Denver will be searching for an identity as the season starts because when you look at that AFC West,
yeah.
They're the one team that's really unsettled at quarterback. Everybody else is. Like I said, there's a lot of pressure on Carr and Oakland.
Yeah.
But Case Keenum, there's an equal amount of pressure, even though Kelly, the second-year kid, should be starting. They redshirted him last year with the knee injury out of Mississippi.
Yeah.
But I think he's Denver's future if you really want to look at it from a quarterback perspective. I think he's a little cross between Jake the Snake that they had out there
Plummer.
and John Elway.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see how that pans out. Halftime tonight had the Panthers over the Patriots 9-3. No, this is not a regular season game, but anytime you have Cam Newton and Tom Brady on the same football field, that's a great atmosphere because you're going to see two of the better quarterbacks playing the game. But, I know this may be stupid to say, and I know they played each other in the Super Bowl game, not these two guys, but the Patriots have played the Panthers in the past in the Super Bowl game, won by the Patriots. Just your thoughts, both teams at 2-0 on the season, preseason. It's just preseason. But do you like what team gives you the most feeling that you can count on them maybe even showing up in their division championship games? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about it, when they played them before, Jake Delhomme was the quarterback for the Panthers back when they played it, and that game was in Houston when the Patriots won that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But when you look at the NFC South, the NFC South, the division that the Panthers play in, you got to realize that division put three teams in the playoffs last year, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers.
Yeah.
And all of those teams are basically intact. And, I really think that if, Tampa doesn't lose all three of those games, even if they go 1-2, when Jameis Winston gets back, that division, boy, is a dogfight.
Yeah, it is.
You think about it, you have three former MVP quarterbacks in that division because Breeze has won it, Ryan has won it, and Cam Newton has won it.
Yeah.
And all three of those guys have been to the Super Bowl during their career.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When you think about the power of that position, but, where Tom Brady is, he's in that elitist status.
Yeah.
That's Tom Brady and there's everybody else. People say, well, why did he play so much in that last game against the Eagles?
Yeah.
Well, he hadn't been in the OTAs.
Yeah.
He was just getting in work.
Yeah.
That's all he did. He put in 39 plays, put up a bunch of points on the scoreboard, moved his team up and down the field.
Yeah.
That's his preseason. That's his practice. Tom Brady doesn't do a lot in training camp, Charlton.
No.
Because you want to rest him.
Yeah.
What does he have to prove? The sports writers and broadcasters who are upset, Brady, didn't do anything. He was standing around.
Taking pictures.
Do they ever watch him play in the game? I'm always confused when they make those statements. Do they ever watch Tom Brady play in the game saying, well, he doesn't do anything, he's just standing around? Yeah, he's just standing there picking apart a defense. That's what he does.
That's true, Big
when New England plays, this is a team of adjustments.
Yeah.
Is that they will figure you out. They don't always game plan for you, but they come into a game to figure you out.
Yeah.
They have what they have set to do. And if you're doing some things that they don't expect, by halftime, they got it figured out.
They got it figured
out.
out.
Because when you look at what New England does when they come out in the second half of games, Shelton, they just blow people away.
Yeah.
You can be up by 14 points. They'll hang 28 on you.
Yeah.
And that's no fluke. It's because of the intelligence of the coaching staff and the players, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that this is not a rah-rah bunch. I know Lane Johnson made a comment a couple of weeks ago saying the players in New England didn't have any fun. They don't because they're tired of carrying around them Super Bowl rings. It's hard.
Yeah.
To be lifting weights all day long.
It gets heavy after you do it all day long. They say in the final 10 minutes, I just want to get, a kind of a snippet on the teams we bring up here. See, the Lions and the Buccaneers postponed, but Seattle and the Vikings, two teams, when Bridgewater was doing his thing back in the day, it was at home versus Seattle, and they actually missed a field goal that would have helped them win that game. Your quick thoughts on Seattle and the Vikings, how they're both shaping up this year, Big C?
Well, Charlton, like I said earlier, your cousin really has to find a way to get this offense under him.
Yeah.
This is not the same Viking offense that we saw, during the season last year when they were clicking.
Yes.
And so he has to come in. Everybody else is there. He's the guy that's different. So he has to get on the same page with the personnel that was in. Dalvin Cook missed most of the season last year. He was an exciting rookie running back the first couple of games.
Yeah.
But the receiving core is intact. The offensive line is intact. It's just a matter of Cousins. Now that you have a supporting cast, you have no excuse any longer.
No excuse any longer. We're going to jump to Saturday, Big C, run down a couple of games real quick. The 49ers at the Colts. And we know they got to find out if Andrew can actually throw the ball downfield more than push it. And Garoppolo going to the Midwest. How will he hold up versus Andrew Luck? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Garoppolo, I think, has the upper hand in this game, Charlton. And as I look at Andrew Luck, and we keep commenting on it, he's not pushing the ball down the field, which is really going to hurt the Colts' offense over time because Now you're going to be able to stack consistently 8 players in the box. You're going to be able to blitz.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been able to get the ball off, snap it off like he did 5 years ago. And so the advantage is always going to be with everybody who is playing against Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, Garoppolo needs to catch his stride. You know, everybody gave him all this great promise. Last year when they went 5-0 with the 7 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
He has to cut down on his interceptions, Charlie.
That makes sense, too, Big C. Saturday, the Chiefs at the Bears. Chicago, I'm telling you, they're going to have a chance to see if they made a good choice last year getting their quarterback. Kansas City with a new young gunslinger going in there at Soldier Field. Your thoughts, Big C?
Rick Mahomes, Charlton, he was actually drafted behind Trubisky in the first round. He sat in Kansas City behind Alex Smith.
Yep.
But he has the biggest arm in the NFL probably since Jamarcus Russell that your boys out there in Oakland drafted over a decade ago with Al Davis out of LSU.
Yeah.
But this kid last week, Charlton, threw a ball over 60 yards in the air against the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
All he did was just out-throw the defensive coverage.
Yep.
And Tyreek Hill caught a touchdown.
That's incredible.
You know, so when you look at with what he has, this is the reason why Kansas City was willing to part ways with Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Well, his senior year in college, Charlton, he passed for 5,600 yards. So he wasn't a fluke. You know, the guy can throw the ball.
Yeah.
So when you look at the talent that Kansas City has, they upgraded their receiving core, Charlton. They can raise a lot of havoc in that AFC West, and it wouldn't be a far stretch to see them finish second in division behind the San Diego Chargers.
That makes a lot of sense, Big C. We go also to Los Angeles, the Houston Texans at the LA Rams. Watson and then Goff, Big C, 2 big-time quarterbacks with a strong arm. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at that receiving core that both of those teams have, Watson has nothing but speed.
Yeah.
They've upgraded the receiving core with the Rams. Gurley's not going to play, so this is just a fill-out game for the Rams. You got to look at that defense in Houston, Charlton. 5 years ago, the greatest defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they've had a lot of injuries, and they're not as good as they once were. Merciless is, back. Watts is back. Even Clowney has gotten a little older.
Yeah.
And so a lot of productivity is gone from that defense. Can they pull it together for another season or two?
We will find out. Titans, Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mariota versus... I don't know. Did Roethlisberger retire, or is he still cashing that check? Because sometime he wants to retire, sometime he wants to cash that check. I think he wanted to retire against Jacksonville, so they said, "We'll help you retire early." Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as long as he's not playing Jacksonville, he's a very formidable quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once he gets in that situation where he has to face Jacksonville, for some reason he gets kind of skittish. I don't know what he did in Jacksonville, but he gets kind of skittish every time they show up.
Yeah.
But, this is a test to see what Mike Vrabel can do with this team. Now, they made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
They got rid of their head coach. Munchak, gone. And they brought in Mike Vrabel, who's a defense coordinator in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Former player in the NFL with the Patriots and Kansas City. And now they're starting a new regime.
Yeah.
Mariota has to stay healthy, Charlton. The past couple of seasons he's had some injuries that have slowed him down. He has to be able to play 16 games if this team expects to dominate that division. And they're in the same division with Houston.
Yeah. Should be a good game to look at. The Ravens at the Dolphins. The Ravens right now 3-0 in preseason. The Dolphins 0-2. And I want to get your thoughts on how both teams are looking at you. Are they doing the right things going forward, trying to get back into the playoffs, Big C, both programs? Your thoughts?
Well, the best thing that happened to the Ravens last year, Charlton, was the draft. They drafted Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
All that did was light a fire under Joe Flacco's butt.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he couldn't be complacent any longer because he couldn't sit there and say, well, they're not trying to replace me. My money's good.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they draft this young rookie. They got a lot of hype. Regardless of how Lamar Jackson plays in the preseason, he motivated Joe Flacco. And you see that a lot of time with veteran quarterbacks. You think about when the Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers. It motivated Brett Favre.
Yeah.
He got highly excited about being rejuvenated in his career. And we've seen this quite often with a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Even when Indianapolis drafted, Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning had to leave. All of a sudden, he had to prove to people he could still play.
Yep.
So, this is one of those situations, Charlton, when you're looking at these quarterbacks and say, hey, I'm playing for my career. Not just this season. I'm playing for my career.
Yeah.
So Joe Flacco should have an outstanding season this year, Charlton. The Dolphins, they got to find a way to keep Tannehill healthy.
Yeah.
He keeps falling apart. He's falling in that Sam Bradford neighborhood.
Yeah.
That you look at me too long, I might get hurt.
That's true. So they got to keep that wrapped up. The Falcons and Jaguars, I know you like the Jaguars defense. They showed it last year. They really outplayed New England, but they could not have played that officiating crew in New England. Big C, your thoughts on the Falcons and the Jaguars?
Well, we talked about Matt Ryan having a very lackluster season last year, Charlton, becoming the highest paid player in the league. Blake Bortles got a new contract from Jacksonville, and I'm kind of thinking that was a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
But they didn't upgrade his receiving core, Charlton.
No.
That's going to be the struggle for him. You give a quarterback good money,
yeah,
but you don't upgrade his receiving core.
Yeah.
You got Leonard Fournette, and I know Tom Coughlin said, hey, we would run him every down of the game if we can.
Right.
He's going to be in great shape this year, Charlton, after a dominant rookie campaign, gaining over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Understanding the NFL game now, Charlton, taking care of your body a little more.
Yep.
But that defense that they have, led by Jalen Ramsey and Calais Campbell.
Yeah, they're good.
In the front end and the back end, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's just a dominating force down there.
Two great quarterbacks, the Saints at the L.A. Chargers. I know when Drew Brees shows up, it's always going to be fireworks, but the Chargers have a good gunslinger of their own. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to understand, for 2 years, Phillip Rivers was Drew Brees' backup in San Diego.
Yep.
And so he learned a lot from Drew Brees of how to command the game.
Yep.
Everybody thought Drew Brees' career was over when he tore up his shoulder. And we see what history has done since he went to New Orleans. He's made them a viable franchise in the NFL.
Yep.
Halfway through this season, Charlton, he'll be the top gunslinger of all time in the NFL as far as yards.
Wow.
So this is a guy that you love to watch. You hate to compete against, but you love to watch. But these two guys, I think they'll go out and play at least the first quarter tonight, Charlton. And, don't expect much from either one of them. It's just a fill-out session, trying to see who's going to make the team.
3 more games, Big C. And I think for football, again, it's preseason, but you have the Cardinals at the Cowboys. There was a time when you had the Cardinals and Cowboys playing in that same Eastern Division. But this is the Cowboys have their 0-2 preseason. The Cardinals are 2-0. Just give me your thoughts. Can the Cowboys right the ship this season? They had a disappointing season last year. Your thoughts?
Well, the Cowboys have to find some receivers. That's their problem right now. And then they also lost their best offensive lineman in Fredericks.
Yeah.
He came out with this rare, immune disease, Charlton, that, has only affected, like 46 Americans.
Right.
And so, his health is the number one concern, not about a timetable of coming back to the NFL. It's about a timetable of taking care of this man's life and making sure that all is right with he and his family.
Yes.
So the Cowboys now have to make an adjustment in their offensive line as well as find a receiving core that's going to work for them. You look at the Cardinals, everyone has talked about them having a poor offensive line. I think a lot of that was based on injuries that they had last year.
Yep.
They have David Johnson back, who was one of the best dual threats in the NFL, Charlton. I don't know how much time he'll play tonight because he had the broken wrist last year. But, if Bradford can stay healthy, they can be challenging in their division. 2
more games. The Bengals at the Bills tomorrow. Bengals are 2-1, actually 2-0. The Bills are 1-1. That game's at Orchard Park. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a situation where a young quarterback has to prove himself, Josh Allen. Everybody keeps raving about this guy's arm.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes throws the ball farther than anybody in the NFL.
In the league, yeah.
No one raves about his arm in Kansas City.
No.
Everybody's saying that Josh Allen is the next great NFL quarterback. Well, he's going to be starting the game, and you're going to see how great he really is because he's going to get the next 2 starts for the Bills. It's going to be make or break time for him.
Yeah, and then last game, Big C, the Packers 2-0. Coming to the Raiders at 1-1. Aaron Rodgers coming back to Northern California. This is not that Raider team that Del Rio took to the playoffs a couple seasons ago. This is John Gruden's team. It's almost like John Gruden versus Reggie McKenzie because a lot of the guys that Reggie McKenzie brought in, John Gruden kicked them out. Big C, your thoughts on tonight's contest?
Well, Charlton, this is what I talked about. Derek Carr has to prove himself. Aaron Rodgers gets a chance to hang out with his old buddy, Jordy Nelson.
Yep.
And gets the chance to show everybody in the NFL he's still one of the elitist quarterbacks around.
Yeah.
And this will give you a gauge of where Carr is. He's competing against Aaron Rodgers, who everyone thinks is one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. Everyone said that Derek Carr was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
We'll find out if he's even in the top 10 in this matchup.
And we definitely will. We brought you all the way Friday Night Lights, high school programs, the top 10 high school football programs in the country. Tonight's a night for talking football. Everybody's loving putting on that Letterman jacket. Mine still doesn't fit, Big C. I got to go back and see if I can stretch it out. But also NFL football coming down to deciding who's going to make those rosters. We'll find out more as we get into the next week. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Charlton, I've been, excited about watching baseball lately. It's been just a whirlwind when you're watching these games. This month alone, there's been 32 walk-off homers in the major leagues, Charlton.
Wow.
And the latest one came today with the Chicago Cubs, Dave Booty. He hit his second walk-off home run of the season, Charlton, to bring the Cubs from behind in a 3-2 victory. And, Wrigley Field was just rocking. And so this is what baseball is all about. When you get here to the fall, Charlton,
yep,
and the houses are packed and the pennant races are tight, this is what I'm looking forward to.
Well, we always look forward to it for everybody. We wish you love, peace, and soul every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.